Jesus said, "Do not be afraid. Your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will not be exhausted, where no thief comes near, no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Be dressed, ready for service, and keep your lamps burning, like men waiting for their master to return from a wedding banquet, so that when he comes and knocks, they can open the door for him. It will be good for those servants whose master finds them watching when he comes. Verily I say this to you, he will dress himself to serve, will have them recline at the table, and will come and wait on them. It will be good for those servants whose master finds them ready, even if he comes in the second or third watch of the night. But do know this, if the owner of the house had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You must also be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him." The word from the Lord in the house of the Lord. I want to read from Isaiah, the greatest, one of the greatest of the prophets. And it was his vision that she read to you. That God said, "I'll have no more to do with you people. I'm tired of you. You won't do what I ask you to do. I've helped you do this. I've helped you with that. I'll put them over here. Too much trouble. I've been with you through everything, and you refuse to be with me through some things." Now we're always willing, when things are going really great, to say, "Thank God." But when things go bad, sometimes we say, "Why did God have to do this? Why me, God?" Instead of, "Why not me, God? What have I done to deserve anything better than what's going on? What have I done to be part of the chosen few?" If you can answer honestly, "I've done the best I can," then you are among the chosen few. He doesn't select us for the perfection in our hearts, the perfection in our lives, the perfection in our tasks and in our jobs or anything else. He selects us for the openness of a heart that's willing to try to seek him. Oh, it's easy to be biased, it's easy to be prejudiced, it's easy to stereotype everything. But our motto has been, and it's about to quit being that, because as of the new church year, we will not be open minds, open hearts, and open doors. That's going away. We've done away with that motto. So when the new church year starts in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. First Sunday in September is a new church year. Did you know that? We don't celebrate it often. It's the new church lectionary year. We have a book that shows us what we read, shows us what songs are appropriate for the readings we have, and that year starts the first Sunday in September. So we only have to put up with 2 more weeks of this lousy year that we've had, and next year we'll throw a New Year's celebration and have a good time. But boy, I hate to see that motto go away. Open minds, open hearts, open doors. That's what we've been talking about for years as Methodists. And then we got together at a general conference and proved we do not have open minds, open hearts, and open doors. And every once in a while in our discussion around the table, we prove that we don't have open minds, open hearts. Oh, we have open doors. But the open minds and the open hearts are very difficult to do. John Wesley based his teaching, his efforts to be methodical in worshiping God based on 3 things. Number one was to do no harm. Number two was to do all the good you possibly could. And number three was never fall out of love with God. Now we built a worldwide church on those three principles. I hope that we build this church on those same three principles. It sounds like the Hippocratic Oath, and that those who are in the medical field. First, do no harm. Then do good. And then quit acting like I know that's what the doctors do and I'm supposed to do. Jesus said, this is your kingdom. God gives it to you. Use it well. That's the hard part, isn't it? Why is it that history says that most people who win the lottery are bankrupt within a few years? We watch every morning. We watch The Price is Right. That testimony to the great American ideal greed. All these people are going to get something for nothing. Did you know that if you win a prize on The Price is Right, you have 90 days to pay the taxes on it, or you don't get it? So if somebody wins something worth $20,000 that is not easily disposed of, and if they're in the right bracket, they might owe $6,000 or $7,000 taxes on it, and they don't have $6,000 or $7,000, and they have to get it. Suddenly, it is not much fun, is it? We have to be prepared to pay the cost of whatever it is that we get from God, just as well as if it's from The Price is Right. And what's the price of the gift from God? What value do we put on the gifts that He gives to us? What valuable thing can we give to Him to equalize the value of that which He has already given us? He said to Isaiah, I've been with you through everything. I've led you out of bondage. I've disciplined you. I've been with you through all of these things. But no one so far has been able to see the land of glory, because we all fall short of what He expects of us. And the only hope for the Old Testament believers was that they could get good enough that God would accept them as they are. They had to get good enough. Jesus came to say to us very simply, very plainly, you'll never be good enough, but I accept you anyway. You don't have to be perfect to be loved by Him. You don't have to be wonderful to be part of His kingdom. You don't have to do anything but love Him back. Yeah, open doors, open mind, open heart, open doors was a great motto. But it's one that the church has had trouble living up to. In 1840, the argument in the then Methodist Church was it sinful to own slaves? And there was almost a split in the Methodist Church. Not the United, it wasn't united yet then. But there was almost a split in that church because of the opinion of those who owned slaves from the ones who didn't. 70 years ago, the argument in the Methodist Church was, women in the pulpit? Never! 49 years ago, Marjorie Matthews was elected as the first woman bishop of the United Methodist Church. She was a divorcee. She was divorced, and she was a bishop. Now we have arguments about gays, lesbians, LBGT, all of them letters. We get to argue about that. And we have a bishop in the United Methodist Church who's a lesbian. Now I can show you chapter and verse in the Old Testament that says that is a sin. And Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. Open minds, open hearts, open doors. Yeah, we can keep our doors open, I hope. But can we open our hearts and our minds to accept everyone who walks in the door, regardless of anything about them? Whether they dress in green jackets and spout off or come quietly and observe. What is it? What is it that makes us think that we deserve the love of Jesus Christ? Is it anything I've done? Is it anything you've done in your past that makes you worthy of Him loving you? He said, you need to be aware always. Just like the servants who are waiting for their master, the bridegroom, to come home from the wedding. And if you're familiar with the Old Testament weddings, they went on for days and days and days. So if you were waiting for the bridegroom, you had no idea when he might show up. He was going to come home as soon as they ran out of wine. Then he would come home. But they had to be ready to serve him. Are we ready? I don't know what the next call we have as a church. I don't even have any idea what the next call He has on my heart, on my life. I have no idea. And all I can try to be is ready when He calls. For He told Isaiah, I will have nothing more to do with my people because they have nothing to do with me. Oh, to be set so far apart from Him who loved us. What an awful sentence it would be. What an awful tragedy it would be to be that separated from the God who loves us. To be that separated and have no hope. But there's always hope. The simple 3 rules of being a Methodist. First, do no harm, do all the good you can, and never fall out of love with God. He phrases it a little differently than that. But for me, that's the easy way to understand it. If you've seen Lou Holt's commencement address at Notre Dame a few years ago, he made 3 points that I really like. First point is, there's never a right time to do wrong. There is never a wrong time to do right. There is never a time to not love God. If we can remember Wesley's rules, if we can remember Lou Holst's words, if we can remember the words of God when He said to Isaiah, I will have no more to do with those who don't love me back. And be prepared for when the bridegroom comes. Be prepared for when Christ comes back. Be prepared for the next task that He has for us to do. The next job He has for us to do. The next challenge to love the unlovable. Because that's what He expects. Not to build a cathedral, not even to donate more money than we've ever donated, but to be able to love the unlovable, to be able to kiss the lepers clean, the summits, the word from the summit. And you kiss the leper clean and never even be seen. Can we be as quiet about our love as Christ is in our lives? Can we be that which He needs us to be? Can we be alert? Can we open our minds? Can we open our hearts as readily and as often as we open our doors. Well, that's a challenge. Are we up to it?